What started it all? The Rivertown Mystery. Part 1. The drive that changed everything. The highway stretched out ahead, long, quiet, and empty. Trees lined both sides of the road, closing in the farther they drove. No traffic. No noise. Just the road and a bad idea. Sarah Taylor sat in the passenger seat, flipping through a worn folder in her lap. She was in her late 20s, very goth, dressed in soft black layers that somehow looked both dark and cutesy at the same time. Tattoos stretched across her arms and up along her chest, just visible above her shirt. And small piercings caught the light. Nose, lip, subtle, but impossible to ignore. She always wore dark lipstick, different shades depending on the day. Deep reds, purples, sometimes nearly black. And her nails, impossible to miss. Long, overly long, painted in bright colors that stood out against everything else about her. Each one detailed with tiny dots, patterns, little designs layered over solid color, like miniature pieces of artwork instead of something practical. She didn't look like someone on vacation. She looked like someone focused. Cody sat behind the wheel of the Ford Bronco, 5'7", about 300 pounds, with a thick beard that made him look tougher than he actually was. He grew up out in the country in Georgia, the kind of place where people worked hard, talked straight, and didn't go looking for trouble, which made this trip very off-brand for him. He had a habit of joking about everything, sarcastic comments, little jabs at Sarah, acting like he hated what they were doing. But every time, he'd follow it up the same way. "Just kidding," he'd say. "You're probably right." He smoked more than he should, laughed at things most people wouldn't, and had the kind of strange sense of humor that made people either like him instantly or not trust him at all. "Let me get this straight," Cody said. "We took time off work, packed bags, drove 6 hours," he glanced over at Sarah, "to hunt a serial killer no one thinks exists." Sarah didn't look up from the folder. "Not hunt," she said calmly. "Observe." Cody laughed. "Oh yeah, that makes it way better." They passed a sign on the side of the road. "Welcome to Riverbend County. Float, relax, enjoy." Cody pointed at it. "See that? That's what normal people do here." Sarah flipped a page. "Normal people miss things." Cody shook his head. "No, normal people take vacations," he smirked. "My dad's down in Myrtle Beach right now, drinking, fishing, living his best life." Then he glanced back at her and pointed at the pictures in her folder. "See that right there?" he said. "That's what I'm talking about." He shook his head. "I'm driving this Ford Bronco into the woods with my wife, who looks like she belongs in a true crime documentary, and brought a full case file." Sarah smiled slightly. "You love it." Cody didn't hesitate. "I absolutely do not." A brief pause. "Okay, maybe a little." Sarah finally looked up at him. "That's how it starts." Cody pointed at her. "See that right there?" he smirked. "That's how people end up in documentaries." Sarah went back to her notes. Or solving them. The road narrowed as they turned off the highway. The trees grew thicker. The light dimmed slightly through the branches. Cody slowed the Ford Bronco. "You sure this is a vacation?" Sarah looked out the window, focused. "No," she said quietly. "This is something else." The Ford Bronco rolled deeper into the trees, further away from everything familiar, and closer to something they didn't understand yet. Because Sarah wasn't coming to relax. She was coming to prove something no one else could see.